G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. I thought I'd crack out another 5am Club, given that I've got 8 to go to reach my 1,000. And I'm very motivated to get there by tomorrow. I've set myself a goal of 1,000 vlogs by my 61st birthday, and tomorrow, God willing, I will be able to celebrate the 1,000th vlog. It's been a big journey, but it's been a lot of fun, and I've learnt a lot, and I've been able to capture it, document it, and post it to social media. So it's there for perpetuity. So it's my legacy, and it excites me no end, knowing that I've got to the point where I've gotten through at least 1,000 vlogs. Not saying that I'm going to stop at 1,000, but I said early in the piece that by the time I get to 1,000, will be at a time where I think that I'll probably become proficient at what I'm doing, and I'll be able to shape it and do a better job from there on in. What I want to do today is take you through a very interesting book entitled Change Your Questions, Change Your Life, by an author, a female author by the name of Marilee Adams, where she talks to us about the sort of questions that we use in our lives, our sense of inquiry, our spirit of inquiry, and highlights the importance of asking the right questions in order to get empowering and useful serving answers. Her call to action basically is for each and every one of us to be childlike and to be vibrant with the spirit of inquiry that we express in our lives. And we need to become aware. This is an important point from this book. We all need to become aware, brutally aware of our thought patterns and our thinking patterns and the sort of questions that we ask, and what and where those questions lead us eventually. So the author goes on to say that rather than seeking fault and pointing blame, what we should be doing is examining the assumptions and the questions that we have, that we incorporate into our lives to assess a little bit better how we're seeing the world and how the world is trying to express itself and talk to us. So the other point that she makes, which is an absolute cracker, and I love, is where she says that we are very, very quick to judge, and by listening to your questioning, you can tell that you're being judgmental. But the author says that we're quick to judge others, but we're even quicker to judge ourselves. That's important to understand, that we're called, through religion, through Christianity, to not judge others. But more importantly, we shouldn't be judging ourselves as well. Is an important lesson that I've been able to source from this book, from the very, very opening pages. And the next analogy that the author uses is very, very powerful, because the author then calls us to action once again and says that we need to water and fertilize acceptance, curiosity, dialogue, and creativity. We need to nurture those things in our lives, whilst at the same time we need to be pulling the weeds. I love this analogy, I love this metaphor. Pulling the weeds of blame, rigidity, assumptions, and fear. So the author then goes on to talk about the importance, as I said before, of asking the right questions. Asking the right questions, because by asking the right questions, asking what happened, will set the tonality of inquiry that will empower and serve us. So what we're saying here is that based on the questions that you ask yourself, will set the tone. Will set the tone and enable you to manage better and help yourself, guide yourself through the thought process to get to a point that serves you rather than crucifies you. Because we are reminded that each and every one of us have the power to choose our reactions, and that reaction is, whether or not you use the situation to learn something new, or you use it to be judgmental and to focus on what the other people are doing. So once again, the author reminds us that we need to observe, to become observants, and to observe our thoughts and recognize their nature. Because some people, and you'll notice this, a lot of people that you'll come across have a style of questioning, and they'll ask questions, and those questions will reveal to us what their fears are. Depending on the sort of questions that people keep on asking, the inquiry that they keep on regurgitating will help you understand, and it's a revelation. It's like they're an open book, because by understanding and interpreting people's questions will give you a deeper look into who they are and what their fears are, and you're able to uncover the amount of irrational fears that they've been brought up on, or that they've inherited, or somehow along the way they've incorporated into their thinking patterns via the books that they've read, the people they've hung out with, or the media that they indulge in. But we need to spend more time being rational and steering ourselves towards rational choices, as opposed to irrational choices that are fueled by fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So the sort of questions that we need to ask ourselves, according to the author, is, first of all, what happened? Now ask the basic question, like, what happened? And after that, you need to ask yourself, what are my choices? Because there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one choice. There's more than one solution to each and every problem. So you need to open up your dialogue with yourself with the question, what are my choices? And once you've been able to step through the spectrum of choices that you've got available to you, then the next question you need to ask yourself is, which is the best course of action for me right now? What serves me right now based on the information that I've got available to me, and what my goals are, what my values are, and what my preferences are. So those sorts of questions open yourself up to a powerful sort of solution creation, is what I'm trying to suggest. And these questions are called learner questions. And they're learner questions, and the good thing about them is that they help build momentum, and they help keep us moving in a forward direction. So something to contemplate, something to think about, and something to try and incorporate into our thinking patterns and processes. The second formal point to come out of this book from this author is where they talk about the importance of trying to preserve our sanity, I guess is one way of looking at it. So like a life preserver, the author suggests, what is good to do is to ask switching questions, which can save us from drowning in a pit of misery. Wow, what a visual image that creates. So what the author here is saying is that we need to be able to switch our questioning and not to be caught up in a particular way of or frame of reference. And we need to be able to understand ourselves when we're judgmental, understand when we're incorporating judger type questions in our questioning process. Because what happens, from what the author suggests, is that when you get two judges together, then you're not going to, it's not going to lead you to much possibility. So if you want to create options, if you want to create solutions, the author suggests that we steer clear of being judgmental of others and of ourselves, and we become more of a learner as opposed to a judger. And how do you know that you're in a judger sort of mode? The author here says that if you're experiencing anger or frustration, it's an alert. It's a pretty obvious. It's a pretty obvious alert that you're in a judger mindset. So if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling frustrated, or if you're feeling angry, then chances are that you're in a judger mental state. So the way you get out of a judger mental state is you need to change the questions that you're asking yourself through the technique of switch questioning. So just change the questions you're asking yourself, flip the question, and the way it works is by changing the question, changes the perspective, and changes the options that you've got available for you. So think of this situation as a situation that serves you. You know, you need to flip the situation. You need to flip the place, the time and space that you're in, and turn it from being a moment of judgment and of being critical to a moment where you're learning what's happening and you're looking for solutions. You're looking to learn a solution or a group of solutions that are going to help you and serve you. So wherever you can, if you're in a judger sort of mindset, or the other people around you are in a judger sort of mindset, it's your opportunity to turn the conversation around and to ask yourself, how can I be more objective? How can I be more honest? And to free yourself from the ugliness of judgment. So the author finishes off with a third formal point, which is 12 questions to guide us in terms of personal success, the sort of questions that enable us to grow, develop, and become better versions of ourselves, and a journey of exploration. So I'll just go through each of these questions. Most of us know these questions, but it's good to jot them down, to have them available to you, just in case you're feeling overwhelmed someday, depending on the social circle that you're caught up in or the bullshit that is happening in your life. The sort of questions that we need to have or to incorporate into our inventory of skills are as follows. You know, what do I want? What do I really want? What are my choices? Because by asking yourself what are your choices will open your mind up to looking for a spectrum of solutions. What assumptions am I making? Because often the assumptions that you're basing your thinking on could be incorrect, could be invalid, or could be problematic in the first place. So let's examine the assumptions that we're making and pressure test them to see if they are actually valid or not. The next thing we can ask ourselves is, what am I responsible for? There's no use worrying or thinking too much about the things that you can't control, that you're not accountable for, nor responsible for. You know, at the end of the day, we can have opinions about those things, but if you can't change it, or if you can't influence it, then what's the use of worrying about it in the first place, other than to know that it's there, to accept it, and to work over, under, around it, or through it, if you can. The other questions that we've got here, what else can I think about this particular issue? What else is there that I can think about? The other thing is to try and interpret. What is the other person thinking? Why are they feeling that way? Why are they talking that way? What can I do to turn it around? Is there something that I'm missing? You know, a lot of the time we come into a situation and we've only got half the picture. Now, we've missed an episode or two. So you've got to ask yourself the question, what am I missing? And to ask other people, what am I missing? Help me out, help fill me in. And by just going through the process of being filled in, the other people may also, you know, come to the solution that it's not really a problem which is as bad as what they think it is. The other question, and a very, very powerful question that we can incorporate, is what can I learn from this? You know, what action step makes most sense? And what can I do to solve this, to get over this, around this, through this? You know, there's lots of things you can do. So taking action is an imperative that we all need to incorporate into our plans of what we're going to do to solve the challenges and problems that we all face. The last couple are, can I turn this into a win-win situation? I guess the ideal is, regardless of the challenges we face, to ask ourselves the question, how can I turn this into a win for me and for the other person, or for me and everybody else? Surely there's an answer that has a common element that will satisfy all people, even if it's a compromise. A compromise solution is much better than no solution, or a problem which goes on and infuses and damages our friendships and our social engagements. And the last question to ask is, you know, what's possible? You know, what questions should I ask? And all of these are thinker type questions. They're learner questions which enable us to open up the opportunities, open up our minds, change the perspective, put a positive spin on what we're doing, what we're thinking, to try and achieve a better outcome. So thank you very much once again for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As you can see, it's a glorious, glorious day. I'm on the front balcony of my home. It's like a spring day. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I've said time and time again that autumn is, without a doubt, the best season of the year here in Sydney. And my daughter has just arrived, just in time, so I'll be taking my granddaughter to Bilpin to go and do some apple picking shortly. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I'm well, I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable. And I can't wait to come to you from a different location with a different message, a message of empowerment, where we can lift ourselves, be the wind beneath our wings, and where we can live, learn and pass it on and help each other, help our children, help our grandchildren become better versions of themselves. Ella, how are you? Hello, my little apple picker. My little apple picker, how are you going? We're going to pick some pink lady apples. Anyway, I better finish up, otherwise we'll get caught up in the traffic. Yassas, take care from Jim's 5am Club. Get the leme. Bye for now.